Hey everyone, welcome to the show. My name is Mark Dolfini of Strategic Boardroom. I hope you're having an amazing day. I was sitting through my stack of books, kind of sifting through them, and I saying sitting with my stack of books. So I was trying to figure out which one I was going to read next. I'm on a pace this year right now to read a book about every 10 days, and I'll be honest with you, it's something I'm actually pretty proud of. Last year, I made it my goal to read a lot more. And I realized that I was reading abysmally slow. So I ended up taking a speed reading course by this guy named Jim Quick, Kwik. And honestly, it was like the best $200 that I've ever spent in my life. My reading speed went from a pathetic like 125 words a minute to over 600 words a minute in about 3 months' time. If I didn't experience that myself, I would have thought that wasn't even possible. But I get nothing for recommending that. I just think it was, again, I want to give you tools. For my business owner brothers and sisters out there, I want to give you tools that actually can help you learn. Because as we know that, leaders are readers and you are the leader of your organization. So in order to get that information downloaded into your brain as fast as the Matrix, that's what I would recommend. So Jim Quick, you can find him on Google, YouTube, whatever, and just spend the $200 for his course. But anyway, so I was perusing through my stack of shame of the books that are just looking at me all judgy because I haven't read them yet, and trying to figure out which book I was going to read next. Keep in mind, I had read some pretty heavy books up to that point, and specifically, I had just gotten done with The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill, which was his 600-page tome. It was his seminal work about which he talked about in all of his other books, but it wasn't just a long book; it was a big book. So, like most books are like, 6 by 9. This book was like 10 by 12. I mean, it was a big book. It was a long book. There was a lot in there. So I ended up reading that, and I needed kind of something. And immediately after that, I read The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz, which is he's a social economist, and he walked through all the research and data in terms of why we struggle as Americans with all the choices that we have and why it's making us just miserable as a society. Really, really fascinating. But both books were absolutely fascinating. But I needed something easier to read because I needed a break. So I happened to peruse through a book that was given to me as a gift years ago, but I actually never read, and it was a book by John Maxwell. And I'm not a John Maxwell fan. I just haven't read much of his stuff, of all the books that I have read. So this one was called the Maxwell Daily Reader, and I'm not much on books that you have to read daily. Like it was just like a page a day sort of thing. I much more prefer to like sit down and read a book from beginning to end. But I cracked it open to today's date and found an interesting lesson, which I think is quite appropriate given given this topic of reading that we're talking about. So the page title was called Planned Neglect, and it was a quick story of a very well-known concert violinist who was asked the secret in terms of how she got so good at being a violinist. And in a few words, I was transported to a time in my life where I could really relate to what she was talking about. In the book, she said, quote, when she was in college, there were many things that demanded my time. When I when I went to my room after breakfast, I made my bed, straightened my room, dusted the floor, and did whatever else came to my attention. Then I hurried to my violin practice, unquote. So I can so relate to this. When I left the Marine Corps to attend Purdue, where I was pursuing a degree in accounting with a minor in finance, some of those courses were absolutely freaking brutal, particularly the math classes. Now, if you're familiar, Purdue's like an engineering college. They just sprinkle math over everything. And they were made no less brutal by my inattention to those classes and instead finding plenty of other irrelevant things to do, like cleaning my bathroom and washing my car and vacuuming my apartment and washing my dishes and 1,000 other things that were completely unimportant and irrelevant. And it was during this time that I learned this thing called planned neglect. So let's go back to our violinist. And she noticed that after all of her split attention, she really wasn't progressing as fast as she thought that she should be. So instead of going to breakfast and spending a bunch of time on nonsense and busy work, she reversed things. And again, I quote, I found I wasn't progressing as I thought I should. So I reversed things. Until my practice period was completed, I deliberately neglected everything else. That program of planned neglect, I believe, accounts for my success. Unquote. So I believe she is so spot on with that. And I adopted very much the same policy in my own life, even though I didn't know it was called this planned neglect thing. But not forever. I just did it for a period of time while I was in school and while the semester was going on. And I made it my job to know all I could about my subjects. So, I mean, I didn't get all A's, but I did manage to pull off a 3.23 GPA, which is not bad for a stupid crayon eater who failed his senior year in high school. Okay. I actually graduated. I was still able to graduate. I didn't actually have to have a passing cumulative grade because I figured that out, but I graduated dead last in my class. I believe this also accounts for my success in other areas of my life as well, though, and that this planned neglect. Because as a business owner, and certainly as a strategist, and even having the ability to read as much as I do, I'm currently on my 34th book for the year, which is a book by Dan Kennedy called the new No BS Marketing to the Affluent book. Listen, I love Dan Kennedy, and honestly, I think he's a legit genius. But each morning, I have to force myself to neglect other things and spend a very specific amount of time reading, researching, and learning the things that are relevant to my avatar. And my avatar are married business owners who have kids, right? I understand what they need because I'm a member of that audience. I'm a member of that avatar, right? So it's really important for me to take the time to educate myself so I can be a good resource for my clients, right? It's one of those reasons why, because I understand my avatar so well and I understand what struggles they have. It's why I created a money and finance course specifically for business owners, because I know the issues that they have regarding money and finances, right? Which, by the way, if you'd like free access to the business owners money and finance course, I will post a link in the description. But getting back to how I structure my days, it's really important that I carve out time for things that are in alignment with my personal vision and are in alignment with my business vision. If I don't ever define those things, then it's really going to get easy to get blown around with the wind of whatever shows up each day. So I want to approach my day every day very, very intentionally. So that leads me to one last point on this video, and we'll go ahead and land the plane. I want to make sure that you understand that this doesn't have to be forever, right? So, say for example, say you were training for a marathon, and you were going to run or train twice a day, say once in the morning and once in the evening when you get home. It would be really important for you to enroll the important people in your life as to what your plans were in terms of what you were planning to do, right? And for how long you were going to do it. So for, say, the next 90 days, you might say to them, hey, I'm going to get up, at the ass crack of dawn and train, and I'm going to do it again when I get home just before dinner, right? Is that something you can get on board with? So this conversation is tremendously easier if you've done the vision exercise or you've worked through your personal vision with that individual in terms of who you're sharing a life with, right? And enroll them into a conversation that's in alignment with that vision. So that way it's not some surprise that they don't know is something that's really, truly meaningful for you. So that's everything. So that's all I have for today. If you are a small business owner and this is the sort of stuff that winds your clock, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when new content comes out. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in the free Business Owners Money and Finance mini course, I will leave a link in the description, and it is absolutely no cost to you. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.